Pardon the interruption, but I'm Frank Isola in for Wilbon today.
And Tony Kornheiser, is he leading the Bears' 3-2 parade?
Why not? Why not?
Well, I'll say this. I'll say it in the body of the show, and I'll say it at the beginning of the show. On this air, Wilbon said the Bears were going to be 0-5 for a start. 0-5, and now they're 3-2. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Wilbon has the day off. I'm joined by our great friend, the host of the starting lineup on Sirius XM Radio, Mr. Frank Isola. And we begin today with last night's late NFL game in the mist in Washington, where the Chicago Bears got a small measure of revenge for last year's Hail Mary game by beating the Commanders on a last-second field goal, 25-24. That field goal was made possible by a fumbled exchange between the Washington quarterback and running back that was recovered by the Bears on their own 44 and advanced down the field in the last minutes. Frank, what does this say about each team?
Well, I look at the game and I'm thinking, this is the kind of game that the Bears lost last year, and this is the kind of game that the Commanders would have won. Why do I know that? Because that's exactly what happened. And remember, you mentioned the Hail Mary, the Hail Maryland play. You know, the Bears ended up losing 10 in a row after that. This comes on now they have a 3-game winning streak, and Tony, they didn't even play that well. No, they blew a double-digit lead. They had 9 penalties, but they found a way to win. So who knows? Maybe Ben Johnson, maybe this quarterback who completed a big pass on 3rd and 5, and then Swift had the big run to set up the field goal. The kicker, Jake Moody, had missed a field goal before. So these are the kind of games that kind of determine if just a good team could maybe be a playoff team. I think that's what we saw last night.
Just following up on what you're saying, I think that Washington should have won that game. And they were undone by 3 turnovers, the last of which, the fumbled exchange, just completely sunk them. And that one is on Jaden Daniels. I mean, that in the rain, he was bobbling the ball. They are 3-3. Last year, Washington went to the NFC Championship game, albeit a surprise, but they went to that game. This year, it feels like they've regressed. They have literally won one, lost one, won one, lost one, won one, lost one. And I think that the people, here in Washington, D.C., are rather disappointed with this. And it has the feel, Frank, of what it must have been like last year in Houston when everybody thought the Houston Texans were going to be real good because they were the year before and they fell flat on their faces. You're right about the Bears. I mean, the Bears are significantly better this year than they were last year. As I said earlier, Wilbon picked them to be 0-5 at the start, and they're 3-2, and they've won 3 in a row, and that matters. And hiring Ben Johnson as an offensive coach, that seems to produce something. The Bears are scoring 25 points a game. That's 10th in the league. We don't look at the Bears lately as an offensive machine. It's had a great effect, clearly, on Caleb Williams, who wasn't that good last year. He's got 9 touchdown passes. He's got 2 interceptions. He's going to pass. He's on pace for 4,000 yards. Nobody in the Bears organization as a quarterback has ever done that before. And I'll just take a little more time to say what their upcoming schedule is. It's New Orleans at Baltimore, at Cincinnati, and the Giants. They should be able to at least win 3 out of those and be 6-3 and a playoff contender in a tough division.
And let's remember, too, they lost a game where they gave up 52 points to Ben Johnson's old team where he was the offensive coordinator in Detroit. And this is what I talk about, that margin of error sometimes. Last year, Washington had 19 scoring drives in the fourth quarter. That was 4th best in the NFL. They also gave up 20, which was the 6th most in the NFL. So last year, they were kind of winning those close games. This year, when you lose them, that's sometimes the difference between getting into the playoffs and not. That's why that was a good sign last night for the Chicago Bears. All right, let's move to last night's early game in which the Falcons surprisingly beat the Bills. Bijan Robinson went for 238 yards from scrimmage, including an 81-yard touchdown run. The Falcons' defense, meanwhile, picked off Josh Allen twice. Atlanta quarterback Michael Penix Jr. said post-game that the win shows his 3-2 team is, quote, really good. This team is really legit. Tony, do you agree?
No, and not as I'm sitting here right now, not yet halfway through the season. It's a not yet situation. I mean, look, their wins are good. It's Buffalo, Washington, and Minnesota. Those are nice wins. But they lost the division game to Carolina, a bad team. They lost a division game to Tampa Bay, so they're 0-2 in their division. So what is the path to really legit when you're 0-2 in that division? Bijan Robinson is a great back. He's a great back. And Penix has had a fine year so far in what is essentially his rookie year.
Yes.
But my skepticism, Frank, is based on last year when they were a bad team, when I believe they ultimately benched Kirk Cousins, but they were in the middle of a run where they lost 6 of their last 8 games. They haven't been in the playoffs or had a winning record since, I think, 2017, right around there. So I'm going to hold back a little bit on really legit. I'm going to hold back.
Yeah, that's a great stat that you gave. 2017, haven't had a winning record, haven't made the playoffs. But the one difference maybe with this team right now, and I know it's still early in the season, they've only allowed an average of 253 yards per game their defense has. That is best in the league. That's how you win in the NFL. You don't need the great quarterback, and who knows, maybe this kid has a chance to be pretty good, but they're doing it on defense. Yesterday they blitzed Josh Allen on 71% of his dropbacks. They cause a lot of pressure. And the one thing I kind of took away from that game, I'm not necessarily buying Buffalo yet. Like you look at the AFC, and for some reason, Kansas City, we keep waiting for them to fall off, and you keep waiting for Buffalo to do something. But look at the wins that they've had, Tony. They've beaten the Ravens, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Saints. Those teams are combined 3-21, and we all love Josh Allen, but he hasn't looked like John Elway just yet, right?
Right. I'm just going to make one point here. That something's wrong in Buffalo the way something is wrong in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But
yes.
Buffalo, I think, is emblematic of a capsizing in the AFC. Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City have been at the top, the cream of the crop, for 5 or 6 years now. They are now a combined 8-10, while Indianapolis is 5-1. Time to dig into the NFL trenches with our great friend ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday. Let's start with this. Baker Mayfield. If I had to vote right now on MVP, right now, and I understand there's a lot of games left, but I would vote Baker Mayfield for MVP at this point. What did you see in that great run when he went 3rd and 14 and he got the first down? What did you see in that?
Oh, will and determination. I mean, how about that run? And just, the way he spins out, he stretches forward, he gets the first down. And then the best part for an offensive lineman is when he gets up talking trash, and he's like flexing to himself, he's doing the whole Hulk thing, and all fired up. And he plays with his emotions, right? He plays with them on his sleeve, and he's done an incredible job this season. I would agree with you from an MVP perspective. He would be my vote right now as well. But he has, with all the injuries that they face, not only on the offensive line, but at receiver, he keeps finding ways to get his team in positions to win. It's been a special beginning of the season for Baker Mayfield, and he got a lot to smile about, and so do his teammates.
All right, that's the good. Let's talk about the bad and the ugly. It's been a rough year for the Jets. The Jet fan will tell you it's been a rough 15 years for them. But right now, Aaron Glenn, 0-6. It's tough to coach in the NFL. You know that. You were an interim. You lost 7 in a row. How do you kind of navigate those struggles? How do you do it?
Yeah, I think a large part of it is talking about, for him, it's a little bit different than me being an interim versus him, is talking about the future of, hey, here are the foundational stones that we're going to build this organization on. And understand, I was in Detroit when we were 3-13-1 or whatever their record was, or when they were 0-9, I think, or something like that when Dan, like, I've been through tough storms and tough days. Like, I know what it feels like to have to drudge through, but we're trying to lay the foundational bricks for this organization. It's not going to be pretty. There's going to be some setbacks, but man, trust me, the long-term vision of this is the way we need to head. And I think that part of him needs to be vocal to his team. I don't care about what he says to the rest of us, but that needs to be the emphasis in the locker room. And I'll say this as well. Be a little more aggressive at this point, right? Like, just kind of let it, the season isn't going to be, you're not making the playoffs, right? So let the guys kind of have fun with it, because there's something about energy that breeds commitment, right? It's like when you breathe energy back into your team, all of a sudden guys, they start to feel it. The commitment kind of gets reunified. So that's that small piece of advice. Obviously he's much further along than I was, but that's what I would be telling him.
All right, you played for some great teams with the Colts. Right now, 5-1, and through 6 games, they've scored the most points in team history. What is different about the team this season?
No, I'm fired up for him. You know, I think Steichen's done a really good job of finding balance, and it's I'm not trying. It's a very simplified way of playing, right? Like Daniel Jones, when he hits his spot, he knows where the ball has to be delivered. When they're running the ball, Jonathan Taylor knows how to make it happen. And oh, by the way, let's not miss this. Their offensive line is on fire. Quentin Nelson's playing well, but the entire offensive line has played good football. They're a top 5 team in passing and a top 6 team in rushing. When you get to that and you're winning in the trenches, it leads to a lot of plays being made by receivers down the field because your quarterback's got time, and a lot of explosive plays from your running back, which we're seeing from Jonathan Taylor. All of those bode really well. And by the way, they travel. They just got to keep doing it, and no matter what opponent they play, keep stacking these dubs, man. And I respect the heck out of how they started and have some high expectations for the finish.
Purdue is atop the men's preseason college basketball poll. Does that make sense to you?
How about the fact that St. John's is in the top 5? Rick Pitino and St. John's in the top 5. I love it. UConn, top South Carolina in the women's preseason poll. Your thoughts?
They were the best teams last year. They played in the finals. UConn drilled them in the finals. They're probably the best 2 this year. Utah Jazz first-round pick Ace Bailey apparently has tendonitis in both knees. Is that cause for concern?
You know, the head coach, Will Hardy, said, you know, he's not really concerned right now. Remember, though, you know, Ace Bailey didn't want to get drafted by Utah. Now he's all banged up. Cape Verde, this is a story right for you, Tony. Population 525,000, has qualified for the World Cup for the first time ever. Is that a big deal?
Second smallest country ever. Iceland is the smallest. That's why I'm rooting for the Faroe Islands to get in. There's more teams. Put the Faroe Islands in. Last one, U.S. men's soccer takes on Australia in a friendly tonight. Is that significant, Frank?
We played really well against Ecuador the other night. It's not really a big deal. But in other news, Italy beat Israel. Italy may be moving closer to qualifying for the World Cup. They missed out on the last 2.
We're out of time. We'll try to do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Frank Isola. Thanks for watching. And now, here's SportsCenter.